They started.
That's a good turnout for 7 o'clock, huh?
I know. Pretty crazy. They started.
How are you? Good to see you.
That's a good turnout for 7 o'clock, huh?
I know. Pretty crazy.
How are you? Good to see you.
I know, right? So last week I know, right? So last week
Noreen, you ready to get them all rounded? Noreen, you ready to get them all rounded up?
Rotary, and I just wanted to thank everybody for coming. Thanks to all the candidates. We appreciate you all being here, so item number 4. And I want to just start off our meeting. We have a time frame.
Can everybody please stand? bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, for this opportunity to come together, learn about the candidates who so unselfishly desire to serve this great community of ours. We bless them and we ask that you watch over them. Let us learn about their positions so that we can elect the people that will continue to grow this great community of ours. And Lord, as Rotarians, we ask that you show us your will so we can continue to serve this community and this world. We ask all these things in your most precious name.
Amen.
Amen.
And then we will do pledge of allegiance, and we're going to say the flag is in front of the building.
There you go. We'll say together in my shirt.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now turn around, the Texas flag's on your back. No. All right, honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
That's it.
Well, I will echo what Noreen said. Welcome this morning. We appreciate everybody getting up early. We're kind of a unique bunch. We like getting here early. And our club does a lot of good in this community. We do a lot of work with the special needs population in town as well as literacy. We work very closely with the school district. So if anybody ever has any interest in getting up real early and helping to serve this great community, we'd be happy to visit with you about that. We've been hosting these forums for probably 8 or 10 years. We didn't have one last year, obviously, because of COVID. But, you know, we're a small crowd, but we also were very influential in the community. We like to hear the positions of our candidates. We're having school board next Thursday. So if any of y'all would like to come again early on a Thursday morning, we'd love to have you. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to give you a few ground rules. We're going to start with an opening statement. And what we would like is just to learn a little bit about you. Don't tell us why you feel like you're the best candidate. We're going to give you a minute to do that at the end. So after we do that, we're going to have probably 4 or 5 questions. A couple of them we're going to ask you to write some answers down so we don't have to say, well, I believe what Houston said. We want to actually have you read your answers if they may be any different. And then at the end, as I said, we're going to have you then tell us why you feel like you're the best candidate for your seat. Mr. Brogdon here is going to be your timer. You're going to have 1 minute on every question. We ask respectfully because one thing about a morning club, we all have jobs, or most of us have jobs. And we got to get back to it. We've allocated a little bit longer than we normally do. So be respectful when he says in 45 seconds he'll hold his hand up or whatever your gesture is going to be. And then in 15 seconds he'll give you the cutthroat problem. Please finish your sentence, but don't go into another thought process because that's not fair to the other candidates. So with that, we will start, and what we'll do is like we did Tuesday night. I'll start with Julie on this end, and then we'll go down this way, and then with Christy Casey involved. So Julie, why don't you start us off with just an introductory opening statement?
I'm Julie Short. I know most of you here today lived in Mansfield for 19 years. Married to Stephanie. We do pretty much everything together if possible. I'm a realtor with Coldwell Banker, and we own a construction company and a home building company. We have raised 7 children and are expecting our 10th grandchild. Love Mansfield. I've been involved in a lot of things in Mansfield, and just think it's the best place to live.
Thank you. Christy?
Can I just say one thing? Remember, we're in the gym without any microphones, so we need you to speak up.
Okay.
For older people.
Yeah, standing might be a good idea because it propels the voice out.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Christy K. Moore, and I'm running for City Council Place 5. I own Mansfield Funeral Home for a service CEO. I purchased Mansfield Funeral Home in August of 2016, so I'm coming up on my 5th year anniversary. Outside of the Funeral Home being award-winning, I did serve as the Mansfield Centennial Lions Club inaugural president. I am on the board of the SPCA for North Texas, and my background in education is I'm a researcher. I'm a scientist actually by trade. I received my molecular biology degree and also an endocrinology degree, my master's. And so I'm very, very passionate about research. And I thank you all for inviting me.
Thank you. Casey.
My name is Casey Lewis. I moved to the Metroplex in 2004 to attend Dallas Baptist University. I met my wife there. And we immediately got plugged into Rush Creek Church. I knew that they were going to be launching a campus in the Mansfield area and learned that it was in Danny Jones Middle School. So in the fall of 2004, we launched Rush Creek. Back then it was called Rush Creek East Broad, now Rush Creek Mirror Lives across from Lake Ridge High School. So we've been serving this area since 2004. We bought a house at the farthest southeast corner of Arlington without getting a pitch back in 2007. I could hit a pitching wedge in Mansfield from my front yard. So we've been serving this community since 2004, but finally got to Mansfield in 2016. And that's when I started getting involved in so many different committees with the school district and with the city. We have 2 kids that attend Mansfield ISD, and I own a real estate brokerage here in town.
My name is Vaughan Jones. I'm originally from England. I've been in Texas for 28 years. Something told me that makes me Australian. I won my green card at the lottery back in 1991, and then a few years ago I got my citizenship, at which point I joined the State Guard, became an EMT, and did a whole bunch of work with research investigators and things like that. I'm also a strategic consultant. I'm currently employed by one of the largest healthcare companies in the world. I provide system support for all of our core systems, which have been hit a lot with COVID, and trying to manage the needs of 500,000 different people who have healthcare concerns. That's it. Thank you. Houston.
Morning, I'm Houston Mitchell. Me and my wife moved here in early 2000. Built a house because we wanted our kids to go to Mansfield and MISD. When we moved here, we got involved in the community right away. We've always been heavily involved in this community. We care about it, both me and my wife. I've served the community in many different ways. I have 2 beautiful children that moved through MISD. They're now at OU. My youngest just got elected president to her sorority, and that makes me proud. So anyway, I'm a family guy, and I care about this community.
George.
Hello, my name is George Fassett. I grew up in upstate New York, so this has got around town a little bit. So, Yankee. Yeah, I came down in 1993 to go to TCU through a long story, made longer, yes. And so there you go, Horned Frogs. I'm wearing a little purple today. I like Houston's shirt. And I got down here through Radio Shack for a blessing, truly. Otherwise, I'd probably still be stuck up there. I'm the son of a butcher and hairdresser. We lived in a single wide trailer in a trailer park. So through some good opportunities, I ended up here. I started my business in 1995 out of the back of my first car that I bought here in the Metroplex, and I built that company over 22 years. I sold it a few years ago. My wife and I built our first house down 287, and we just recently moved here and built our forever home here in 2017. Or 18. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike.
Good morning. Thank you for having us this morning. I'm Mike Lehman. I'm the incumbent running for place 3. Currently, I serve as Mayor Pro Tem. I was elected to that position by my peers. It's the 3rd time I've had that honor since I've served on City Council. Came to Texas in 1969 after getting discharged from the Marine Corps. Spent 10 years at Arlington Police Department. I came to Mansfield as police chief in '79. Was here until '86. Went to Richardson. Can't keep the job. Went to Richardson. Became the deputy chief there for 16 years. Retired. Vernon Newsom came after me to run his police department. And I see a guy in the back burning my supervisor at one time. So I've been on the council previously. I enjoy service. I really enjoy public service. I think anybody who knows me, I'm always actively involved and actively debating. So I'm here for you. Thank you.
Okay, we'll start out with the first question, Christie. One of the things we've heard in some of the other forums that each of you have mentioned is infrastructure in our community. And with continued growth, there's going to be greater needs for infrastructure improvements. How would you propose funding those needs in the future?
Thank you for that question. So when dealing with the topic of infrastructure and improvement, the first thing that would have to be done for me is to go into the history of how it's been done before, what has worked for Mansfield, what has not worked for Mansfield. That helps me, and it goes to my strength of being able to build from there. So knowing the history of Mansfield and what other city council persons have done will help me to be able to devise a plan and propose a plan.
So one of the concerns with the infrastructure in the past would be the city hasn't really done a bond election in 20 plus years. And so what happened is every year the city council would be given an amount, hey, you have $10 million to issue, what projects do you want to do? And that would be the starting point for staff to say, okay, we got to go get the design, we got to get the right-of-way acquisition. And so this bond debt money sits for 3, 4, 5 years until the road is ready to begin. That's something that we recently fixed. And we're saying, hey, what road are we going to do in 2024? Okay, now let's get the design ready, let's get the right-of-way acquisition. Then we issue the bond debt, and so it's saving taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest on each of those projects. So that's one of the changes that we've made. I think it's crucial that growth pays for growth. We don't widen roads until they're ready to be widened, and when we do, we pass that cost on to developers who are causing that impact for the need for wider infrastructure. And then we just continue to maintain using tax revenue and bond debt issuances for the remaining for repairs and maintenance. Thank you.
So there's two factors. One is, working with larger companies that we're bringing into town, so that if they're going to be creating more traffic, we need to make sure that some burden shifts in there. But also, not just looking at infrastructure as purely roads, public transportation, better access for bikes, better access for connecting us to the roads. All those kind of opportunities are available to us. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing. There's going to be different types of businesses in different areas of town. We want simple access to downtown. We want people to be able to come in from outside if they're going to an industrial park and so on, and stay out of the main roads area. It's a matter of looking at traffic flows, needs of business, needs of the community, and so on.
We're behind the 8 ball on infrastructure. We have been for a while. Of course, we can, in the future, we can get developers to pay for infrastructure. But what do we do now? We have to find a way to fund it as soon as possible. As if you drive down East Broad any time of the day, you'll see what I'm talking about. There's a lot of things going up out there, and traffic congestion is horrible. And there's other parts of the city, such as Denton. So we need to look at bond packages that will increase your taxes. They've always issued, I believe, COs before, but I think bond packages is probably going to be the best bet.
I think we need to be working on those areas that are related to safety and to congestion. And so we need to be creating priorities inside of our vision for how the city is going to continue to get built out going forward. When we continue to bring in more apartments, to create more and more density in a lot of these areas, especially places like Broad, I also think we need more communication so we understand why Broad keeps getting torn up over and over and over again. So some roads, some signs outside the road, maybe an app, something that's telling us, I'm sure it's on our website, but our website is still very tough to get around. I know it's better than it used to be, but it's still tough to find stuff on there. So I'd like more communication. I'd like to know if it's getting torn up again because we're making the builder come back and do it right? Or is it because we just don't have enough vision or strategy to doing it right the first time?
Well, I would like to say that a very important part of where we are and where we're going is our vision. And I truly believe that experience helps build a vision for the future. What I mean by that is, someone coming in new, you're going to have to learn the operation, learn budget, learn all that process. The important thing, I think it's a very exciting time to be in Mansfield. We've got about 25% of our city still to grow into, and we like to kid about where we're going to be when we grow up. A lot of that does relate to infrastructure, but there are other areas we need improvement. We want to look at a new Mac Center, we're calling it the Big Mac. We want to look at a new public library, which would be central. We want to look at senior citizens, maybe all that be in one location. I truly believe the best way to go is through a bond election with the voters, and if it's presented professionally and correctly, I think we'll all go for it.
Thank you. Okay, question number 2, we'll start from there. I'm sorry. It's early. Made a mistake.
You can't grow where the roads don't go. And my favorite way to take care of infrastructure is to get developers to pay for it. We've done that on several of the projects. And we've also learned, as I've been on council, that there's been some Band-Aid work done over the past years with roads, with our city facilities and things like that. So I think that we're kind of taking a new approach now to not just think about right now, but 50 years down the road, you have to think that far ahead. We heard a study recently that talked about how many miles of roadways don't go anywhere. And everybody likes to live in the cul-de-sac and all that, but does it make sense for your city? You got to maintain those roads that aren't really giving you access somewhere else. So there's a lot of things to think about. Infrastructure to me is like having to buy tires for your car. It's not fun, but you have to do it. So I think bond is the way to go.
Okay, Casey. Question number 2, and I think everybody ever grab their pen. I want you to write down on your notepad what you would believe to be the average value of affordable housing you would be willing to support in Mansfield. Do you feel there's a need for affordable housing, and would you support the effort to build it?
All right, so I think anytime I hear affordable housing, we really have to define what is affordable housing. Is it government assisted? Is it cheap housing? Is it housing that a young married couple? What is affordable housing? For housing in Mansfield, my priority is a diverse housing option. Generational housing, where you can live here from cradle to grave. If you want to downsize after your kids leave, but you still want high quality, like a nice townhome or a garden or patio home where you don't have a lot of yard, we don't have that. Right now, Mansfield is a sea of single-family houses. And when you have a sea of single-family houses ranging for prices of about $200,000 up to over $1 million, what you get is a bunch of kids and families with kids who then impact our school district. And when they have to leave our city when they go to college, and they probably don't come back. And then they finally get here, and then they leave when they retire because they don't have anywhere to live. So I want to make sure when we have affordable housing, we really have housing options for everybody.
Yeah. If you would disclose your number.
It's difficult because every life stage is going to be different. I think in single-family house, I think we need to be with 450 and up range. But we also need starter homes and townhomes that maybe are in the 250 range to 350 range for somebody that's downsizing. It's hard to have enough ranges of housing, and the market is going to drive the price of that.
Okay. So, one of the challenges that we have right now is that we have over 20,000 people leaving the city every day to go to work, which means that other 1,000 people coming into work in the city because they come from moving. In terms of affordable housing.
Mr. Jones, could you speak up, please?
I can speak up.
Okay.
I think I can speak up. I imagine he's very accommodating to laws of us, so just talk to him.
I'll move to the back.
When you have all of your ancillary workers, the people that are kind of providing the lifeblood of the city, working outside of the city, and when you have all these single families using the city as a bedroom community, then you're not really getting a full buy-in to the community itself, okay? So if you want to be able to support these ancillary workers that live here, I'll give you a number, they're going to want to be looking at $800 to $1,000 a month in terms of how much their rent is. That's it.
This is a tricky thing because our school district is such a good district. And I don't think that we can, there's a plan, and I haven't seen one that we can approve affordable housing here in Mansfield. Our values of our homes keep going up because of our school district and our town. There's a housing shortage. I've talked to my little sister, she's a real estate agent. I've talked to other real estate. People are here in town, 2 weeks ago, 42 homes. 10 people are bidding on each home. They're selling them for over list. So right now, I don't think that there's a way we can do affordable housing. I think that companies would come in and buy the properties, big corporations. And my numbers, you know, I think the average home's about 310, 320.
So you told me to write down a number. So if I had to think of affordable housing in today's economy and what we're doing in general, not necessarily in Mansfield, but in our general area, I would say affordable housing would be somewhere in the $200,000 to $250,000 range. That would be affordable for folks with a lower income and kind of your blue collar worker. But I do think that there are alternatives, as we have spoke about, through multifamily or lower density areas, through say townhomes or something to that still allows us individual residents, but it is in a bigger complex. Is the city's direction really to facilitate, right now, is our city really trying to facilitate affordable housing? And given the fact that you really can't build a new house for less than $400,000, I don't know that we are. And so, and the other problem is that property values are going up at an extreme rate, in my opinion. So to adjust for that and make it affordable going forward is tough. Thank you.
Well, as was stated earlier, the affordable housing question is a complex question. The average home in Mansfield currently is roughly $244,000. Ballparking, that's somewhere around $2,000 plus a month we're going to have to pay. Now, we do have homes that are built on the west side. Habitat for Humanities has built several homes. We have some on Dallas Street and in the older neighborhoods. So I think it's all a relative term depending on what your income is, what you can afford. And I think everybody in this room, I for one, started in an apartment. And as you go along in your career, you wish to progress, as was stated earlier about the cradle to the grave. I think that's a very important observation. You have to try to do housing for everybody in all venues and income.
Okay, my number is 250. That is the average first-time home buyer price. I don't think there's a real need for it here. I think there's a misconception. I ran a search yesterday to see how many homes have sold in Mansfield over the past year that were under 300,000, and it's 399 homes sold in Mansfield for under 300,000. Being in real estate, I've had several clients that are a single guy in his 20s, bought a home in Mansfield. A couple in their 20s just recently built a home at 285. The trick is the land. Our land value is so high, and of course, right now with everything that's going on in our world, construction costs have gone through the roof. I mean, they couldn't build that home for 285 today, and they just moved in a few months ago.
So affordable housing is a hot topic, right? So what I can say is all of us at one point in our lives had a starter home. I would say not all, majority of us had a starter home. And years ago, that starter home, 125, 130, 150. Well, now in 2021, it's really, really difficult to get a home for that price, right? So my number is around 200,000. That's just based on my research. In order to achieve where everyone is comfortable with this term affordable housing, there has to be balance and commitment from those who are making decisions about what type of housing is allowed here in Mansfield, that balancing commitment should encompass everyone that's involved. Those who are just starting and those who are starting over. Some of us started and have started over several times. So if the city council is committed to balancing commitment, we can get to the number needed to make everyone as comfortable as possible.
Okay, next question. We'll start with you, Mark. What opportunities do you see for improving our city and the lives of the residents of Mansfield?
I think I'll stand. Sure. Okay, can you hear me now? Right, so there is so much change been going on in our city just in the past 12 months, leaving aside the doubling of the population that's happened in the last 10 years. We have to have a vision for the future that is adaptable. We have to be able to find ways to bring people into the community and have them live and work here, because when people live and work in the same area, they are more invested in that community. We have to find ways to have affordable housing so that artists can afford to live here, so that the people who are selling new burgers can afford to live here. We have to find a way to have the higher ends of the city and the lower ends of the city both work together and everyone be able to live and work here in the same place.
First of all, I think we need to keep supporting our school district, because that's why people move here. They want their kids to go to a great school district like Mansfield. I think we need to we need to upgrade our roads. We need to get higher in businesses that people want, such as retail. We just need to keep improving the city. We need to manage multifamily, because I think we're getting a little overbearing with that. Right down here on Broad, we got an apartment complex going right up there next to Broad. So that's my.
For the majority of the citizens, I believe that's the question, what are we going to be doing, is, I mean, if I'm walking down the street, I'm sitting and having a drink, if I'm at the coffee shop, I mean, most everyone talks about, if they're criticizing Mansfield, they talk about how expensive it is to live here. Our property taxes are very high. And so I've run on this before, and I'm still on it today. I'm not going to end on it yet, because I think we need to continue to chip away at our property taxes. As our property values go up, our tax bills are continue to go up. And every year our tax bills are getting higher and higher. Some homes in the last 5 years, their taxes have almost doubled, because their properties are doubling, which is great, but I think we can bring our rate down, because as those values are going up, we're bringing more money in the city. We can adjust down a little bit. If we keep chipping away at it, I think that will help the majority of our citizens and keep us together as a community.
Mike?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Sure can. What opportunities do you see for improving our city and the lives of the residents of Mansfield?
Well, as I was saying earlier, I still think it's a very exciting time for us, particularly the next 5 to 10 years. We've been talking about somewhat of a major bond election, taking it to the voters in November. One of the items we're talking about as it relates to quality of life issues I mentioned earlier is a MAC, senior citizens, and a library, all in one location. That would definitely help with the quality of life. But I think the entire matter is a journey. I disagree with Mr. Fassett in some ways. By reducing the tax rate from 71 to 69 and giving a homestead exemption this current budget year, that was a $4.3 million cut in new money. And I can explain further when I have more time, but it's a complex discussion. But I think you must do rational expenditures and planning.
Well, we've been talking about offering a world-class experience with a small town feel. And to me, that really sums up what we do here in Mansfield. I think you hear that a lot around town, that it still feels like a small town, but we have wonderful parks, one of the recent things that came out of the citizen survey was that we want more restaurants, we want more shopping here. I'm all on board for that. I would love to see us woo more corporations to come here so that more of our citizens will be able to work in the city they live in, and that would also help with our traffic issue and our roadway problem.
Okay, so opportunities for the citizens of Mansfield. So again, it comes to balance, making sure there's a balance with all decisions that are made to make sure that everyone that's affected is affected in the most balanced way possible. I plan to have a set monthly forum that's a proactive approach for citizens to voice what they feel is important for them and what type of opportunities that they would want, so that I could then propose those to my fellow city council members, or to make sure that they know that they are heard. It's important for city council to continue to work together and to make sure that they're accessible to citizens, so when they do have concerns and they have opportunities that may have come to them in the middle of the night, they feel like their voices are heard.
60 seconds is really tough. I'll say that our current council, and Julie, me, Mike, and Mr. Moore last year made some really key steps. We haven't done a community survey in over 30 years in the city of Mansfield, and we did our first one last year. That was direction of the city council. We want to hear from residents and what the plans are. So we started building plans around that. Our new vision statement for who Mansfield is a vibrant city for people and businesses that value world-class experiences, culture, quality, and a second-to-none level of community service in a hometown environment. That's who we are, and how we foster this vibrant community is improving our job talent pool, focusing on arts and culture, fostering entrepreneurship, providing diverse housing options, maintaining our high public safety, and then maximizing every penny out of the available 25% of our land use, so that we can slowly over time shift the property tax burden off of single-family homes and onto commercial and spread it out across our city. The other big thing is quality of life stuff. This Big Mac is going to be awesome, and the bond that's going to come up in November is something that's crucial.
Now, has Burger King addressed this issue with y'all? I mean, it's not going to be a Whopper of a McDonald's. Okay, Houston. What are your thoughts on term limits for council members? And if you support the idea, what do you think the limit should be?
I support term limits. I think everybody should, from here up, should serve and get off, and let somebody new start. I think that it should be 2 terms, and you have to sit out for a term and maybe run again. But I think term limits is good. I've always supported term limits. George?
I support term limits all day long. And I think for city council, given 3 years per term, at the most, maybe 3 terms on, 2 terms off. You know, that's a 15-year period in which someone can only serve 3 times. And I think that would be pretty fair. It is tough as a non-elected official. I'm the outsider, right? So I'm sitting there going, it is tough to get on. And so I think we need to make room for new thoughts, new vision, different education, different experiences, so we can continue to round out change as our community changes.
Well, I'm gonna take a different opinion. I'm totally opposed to term limits. We're in a term limit right now. I've got to run for this office. I got to prove to people vote for me why I'm worthy of that office. That's the term limit. I think our neighbors to the north would tell you they went through this process. They're having a hard time finding candidates because in their particular situation, you can't ever run again. I look for that to be challenged, but right now, if you've served your terms in their limit, you can never run again. Well, at some point, you're going to run out of candidates. And it takes a lot of time to do this job. I checked the other day, since I've been on council this time, I've attended over 103 council meetings. In 2020, we've had over 40.
Yeah, that's a tricky one for me too, because I've always been opposed to term term limits, because I felt the way Mike did, like, every time you're up for reelection, that's a term limit. But what I've seen at the national level has made me change my mind about that. But I guess I still struggle with it, because I think, man, if we had term limits and we didn't have our former mayor for the 12 years that we had him, how would things have looked differently? If we didn't, if Brent could have only served, 2 terms, how would things have looked differently? But I also see the need for fresh ideas. But with city council, there is a learning curve. There are so many pieces to this puzzle. I definitely think 2 to 3 would be a good amount for people to be in. I still couldn't say 100%.
Thank you. Okay, so term limits, from my perspective, they encourage diversity of thought. It allows for people to come in to lead the way, hopefully the way they promised that they would as they were campaigning. And then once their term is up, the next person, if they're not reelected, the next person can come in and provide a different perspective that can help propel the city to the next level. Again, it goes back to, I'm really big about balance. I'm really big about making sure that any decisions that are made for the city, make sure that the city it goes along with the city's vision. And sometimes when there are no term limits, one person can be stuck in one particular position and their thought process is stuck there and the city can't progress. So I believe that there should be some type of term limit, but with balance.
So I used to be we probably should need term limits. In 2018, I ran against an incumbent that had been here 12 years, so of course I said that, right? There's a big learning curve to this job. I thought I had it all figured out the day I got elected, and then quickly learned I had no clue. And it took about 18 months to get on board, and that's half of your first term. And then you turn around, so if you do 2 terms, you're just starting to get it figured out, and then you've got other people behind you, and the council turnover. We have 3 new council members today, with potential to have 6 new council members inside of a year right now. Like, there's a lot of change happening. So I'm 35 years old. I would like to have served the city 3 years. I'd like another 3 years. I don't intend on being here forever, but I don't want to be term limited out when I'm 55, 60 years old and want to come back and serve the city again. So I think if you do a good job, you listen to people, and you stay engaged, you're doing well, and if not, the voters are going to get rid of you.
Yeah, I absolutely agree there should be term limits. Leaving aside the extraordinary circumstance where we might not be able to find people to run in a city of 75,000 people, I strongly believe that the more we progress over time, the faster things change. We have to reflect that in the people who serve on the council. Also, over time, it gets harder to pull out an incumbent. Okay, the longer they've been sitting in their seat, the more they're networked into the city, the more they have name recognition. It's harder for people coming up. So I believe that there needs to be a regular change. Personally, I would want to run more than 2 times. And if you have a strong city manager, which we do in this city, then the city council should be able to go through its learning curve without any major disruption to the city.
Thank you. Cam, I ask you to put your visioning hats on a little bit. Look ahead 10 years. What does downtown Mansfield look like? George, I think it's you.
I love our downtown. I love the small town feel. I'd like to see us 10 years from now, these new parklets we put in. The first one we put in looks like downtown today. The second one we put in looks like downtown 10 years from now. I'd like to see us progressing toward more of a place where we can have a date night, or have a girls' night out, or we have live music down there, something that's more robust. Maybe, where the traffic is so fast and it's so hard to cross the street down there. I'd like to see us have more trees, it'd be more parkway, more updated.
10 years ago. Well, this council just recently passed, as a matter of fact, it was the last council meeting, we're having an incentive program to bring restaurants and other businesses to town And there's a whole explanation on the package. Casey can probably tell you a lot better than I can off the top of his head, but I can get you the information. But the whole point is to encourage development of restaurants and retail to our downtown. I think all of us are not happy with the way downtown is right now, but we do have basic pieces that are all in place. But our best time is going to be ahead of us. Some ideas have been bandied around. The old fire station downtown, that could be sold, and we could build a new one, and that could be turned into restaurants. And then there's other things to go with it. I'd be happy to explain it more. Thank you.
So what I want to see for the downtown is somewhere where you could go and pretty much spend several hours shopping, eating, and enjoying some entertainment. And for that to happen, we have to have the density that feeds the downtown. So the apartments in Bexley on Main, we're in phase 2 of that. That helps tremendously. But having some more density right in the downtown will help as well. Those businesses have to be able to survive Monday through Friday before the crowds come on the weekend. So I would love to see the fire station move down and something really cool go there. We have talked about that, plus that would help with servicing the southern part of our city as well. So there's a lot of great ideas. It just, everything takes time. They say the wheels of justice turn slow, well, the wheels of government are even slower.
So I love downtown, and in 10 years, it would be great for some of the citizens that I've talked to that have concerns about taking their smaller children, kind of will get away from them and run. Some of them are very concerned because of how busy that street is, and so they kind of keep them off of that main road. So for those concerns to go away, where there's a place where the kids could be downtown and playing while their parents are enjoying a nice drink or the ambiance, the atmosphere, that would be great. Whatever downtown looks like 10 years from now, I am confident that the right city council team will hear the concerns and what the citizens will want, and that will be implemented. I'm very confident that those who serve here in Mansfield they love the city enough to answer those concerns. So downtown in 10 years is going to look amazing, I'm quite sure.
One of the first actions that the three of us and City Council at the time took was to have a downtown study completed on parking, different things like that, but out of that came 30 development strategies, and the vision statement for downtown is a historic downtown Mansfield is a vibrant destination and livable center that supports a range of businesses, housing options, and activities for all ages. So when downtown Mansfield is a destination location, we all win for that. Housing density in downtown, not just multifamily, but crafted homes, garden homes, patio homes, lots of houses, lots. I don't think people realize how much developable land is available in downtown. I talked to somebody the other day that said, Grapevine has this long street, what is that? Grapevine's main street is 1,800 feet. Our downtown Main Street is 3,000 feet. It's twice as big as Grapevine's. And then if we can get off of downtown, we start looking at Smith Street, Walnut Street, Oak Street, we have a very large footprint that can be developed into historic downtown.
Well, 10 years ago, the city doubled because we had a vision back then and people came. 10 years in the future, what I'd like to see a train station on the edge of that downtown. I'd like to see restricted driving access in downtown itself, perhaps paved so there's actually no cars going back and forwards. Less need to bring cars down there, so less need for parking lots, so more space to develop and provide more commercial businesses that allow people to spend, as we talked about, the whole day down there, just like Grapevine. I think that cleaner air, quality of life, all those things are what really people want for themselves and for their children. And I think that we can do that. Houston?
I think we need a vision. I think we need a proven leader on the council, which I believe we do now. Councilman Tornori, he's a proven business leader, and I believe he's taking the lead in downtown. I think he'll do a great job. I think he's going to bring downtown to the forefront. I also think it takes money, and I think that he will be able to bring in the businesses that downtown needs. I think we need to put a crosswalk in the middle of downtown. I see downtown with people like Todd Tenori, I see it being very vibrant.
All right, last question before we start concluding statements. We've all heard about the potential growth in Mansfield and what size city we're going to be in the future. What are your thoughts on that continued growth? How do we manage it?
So right now, like Todd Tenori, I see it being very vibrant.
Yes, all right, last question before we go to our concluding
It's
statements.
ironic, when I.
And we've all heard about the potential
1969,
growth
population
in Mansfield and what
approximately-
size city we're going to be in the future.
Oh,
What are your thoughts on that
and
continued
we're
growth? How do we manage
We're
it
projected to
in
be
order to
somewhere in the
continue with
neighborhood
our
of
quality of
150,000
life?
fully developed. So, to
Yes.
answer your question, I think it's ironic, when I, based on my experience in other 1960, the ideal plan is to try to get a 50-50 mix between retail and commercial taxes. And we're projected to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 150,000 city, not far from us. Their tax rate, to answer your question, I think, and it's mainly because, based on my experience in other cities, the ideal plan is to try to get the city a 50-50 residential, retail, and commercial those benefits. And by having a lower tax rate and having all the retail city not far from us, their tax rate is 41 cents. I think we need to strive for balancing our tax commercial retail is very,
And I would say, Mike,
drives
nail
the
on
city.
the head, we are 70%
Residential.
single-family residential. That
reaps
is
those
safe.
benefits
We only have
by
25%.
having a lower tax rate and having all the retail available.
What we do with that remaining 25%
So,
is key.
I think we need to
And
strive for
balancing that
balancing our
tax
taxes
burden.
to lower.
Right now, it is, we all feel it. I would say it is on us that we are 70% single family. So I had asked when I first got on council, we always did 25% limits for the different housing development. What we do with that remaining 25%. There isn't. You would balance in that tax terms. It really depends on what you, we all feel it. It is on us as homeowners. We do it. So I had asked when I first got here, if there's increasing for the different housing development. So, and if there isn't that, you would think there is. I know Mike says 50, it really depends on what you want your city to be like. So we do a great job with the hotel that we have here. It keeps increasing.
We've all heard about the size of our population in the future. What are your thoughts on that continued growth? How to manage it in order to maintain the quality of life we have here?
Thank you for repeating that.
We've all heard
So that
about
goes to
the size of
questions you asked about
our
infrastructure,
population.
the things I'm talking about balance. You
What
know,
are your thoughts on
when,
that continued
when
growth? How to
we all
manage
sat
it
down
in
to
order
think
to
about
maintain the
where
quality
we're
of
going
life?
to spend our money, for repeating that. If you're anything So like that me, goes always to go to questions you asked about city or the companies, the things I'm talking about balance. And you know, when we all sat down to think about that exudes spend our money, what we're all about. If you're anything like me, always go to about the city or the company. Once we have that and people buy into that, it's important that we have business leadership and they feel that exude what we're all about. There are people on council that actually tell about the best way to start their business. Once we have that and people buy into that, everything else that they want to start a small business here and they feel like their ability to relate to people on council already actually tell them the best way to start their business and the best way to be successful, then everything else will
Some
fall
of our
into place.
vision
It's
statement,
all about people's
world-class
level of
city,
comfort
hometown
and their
feel.
ability to relate to those who already believe in the city where they're
Pickle parade, or
to be
the fact that you call it, city staff actually used some of our vision statement, world-class city, hometown feel. The 25% of our land use could be utilities, we can maintain that until we're a single-family city. In fact, you call it, and city staff actually in the future have to repay for all of that infrastructure. The 25% of our land use here from now, which means our taxes, they're high in a single-family city. They're going to be really high in 30 to 40 years. And veteran communities in the future, single-family, repay for all of that infrastructure, 30 and 40 days, and that's what now, which means our taxes 25%. And how do we get, they're going to be really high in 30 to 40 years unless we have technology from the single-family, veteran, more people in economic power that today, and that's cradle to grave rather than 25%. It's how we can get those jobs that are in computers and math and technology to maintain our quality of life. That's how we are living here that are from cradle to grave rather
Well,
than.
it's important to bear in mind that growth isn't guaranteed. Mansfield used to be
And so to maintain our quality of life, that's how we have to do it.
believe that it's... Well, it's important to bear in mind that growth isn't guaranteed. Mansfield used to be a thrive. Whatever we do, it needs to be able to adapt. We believe that it's bringing large businesses that can change. Whatever we do, it needs to be able to adapt sources. Then we have to make sure large businesses have their fair share to help with services, to help faith house, get some sources. Then we have to make sure that they're primarily, I think, we should be trying to find ways to help accommodate and so on. The people that are primarily, I think that we should be trying to find ways to accommodate the people that are here now.
Well, I hear a lot about this 25% land that we got left. Well, we get too many. Well, I hear a lot about this 25% land, okay? We got to manage multi-family apartments. Council, we got to get better infrastructure. We got to manage multi-family for our quality of life. We have to support our school structure. Big for our quality of life. As long as that's, we have to support our school movement. That's number one, big time. As long as that school district, we're going to get overrun if we don't start managing. That's number one, multi-family that get overrun, and we're not going to overrun if we don't start managing these multi-family that we're going to get overrun, and we're not going to beat it.
We need to have a good foundation. And so my priorities coming in here, certainly we need to have a good foundation. So my priorities coming in, getting our infrastructure revolved, we're already struggling as it is. If we've got another 25%, getting our infrastructure to be bringing in, we're already struggling as it is. More, we've got to get, we're going to be bringing in our, we've got to get more we have. We've got to get well. And we've got to get what we have. So our safety needs to be a big deal. And safe. So our safety people want to come to somewhere we need our roads and our sidewalks. People want, especially around our schools, we need our roads and crosswalks, especially around our schools. We need to have a vision to get crosswalks, especially around our schools. We need to have already built those things done before we now. We need to before we've already built our school, before we're building, we need to have fire departments in the family building. So I do feel like that right now we're at the tipping point. So I do feel like that right now we're at the solid, so we have to get our foundation grow into solid so we can continue to grow into.
Okay, Julie, we're going to start back with you, and this is going to be. Okay, Julie, we're going to start back with you, and this is why we feel like we're the best candidate, on why we feel like you're the best candidate for your seat on city.
I've been a part of this community. I've been a part of this community for 19 years. I've served in different boards and commissions and charities and charities. I have local leadership. I have a good handle on certain citizens and certain citizens in this capacity. Proven I have success as far as good communicator with what's going on in the city, so there's not some misconception that we have just we're overrun with apartments, 1.3% land use right now is family. I'm not a multi-family, but I think the citizens know facts. And even if all the ones that are built that are in the pipeline right now, be 1.7%. So knowing what's really happening here and having that vision for the future is important, and I believe I can.
Again, I'm Tracy K. Ward, running for City Council Place 5. I want to first say that I'm very sensitive to the needs and concerns of anyone that brings them to me. For instance, someone said they really couldn't hear and we were asked to stand, and I made sure that I stood every time because that was a need. I wanted to make sure that I met that need. That's how I am every day, working as a film director, serving families who have lost their loved ones, and I've been very successful with that. That is problem solving at its finest every day, multiple families a day. I would take that business acumen and my smart business savvy, and I would take that to the city, and I would provide the leadership to help us to pivot to go to the next level. All of the concerns that we have, it will be my job to do the research to make sure that we take it to the next level so that we can have a strong foundation for our children behind us. Thank you for your consideration.
I was humbled in 2018 to actually win an election. I didn't think I would. And it's been my pleasure to serve for the last 3 years. And getting through the learning curve and getting ready to run. All the research has been done, the learning curve is done. We've got a great council in front of us, and we're ready to run. We're ready to take the city to the economic powerhouse, to the future that we've been talking about. And if If you look at the things that I campaigned on, like property tax relief, improved infrastructure, quality of life projects, and then you look at the voting record of the last 3 years, we have the lowest tax rate, a very powerful financial city right now, strong infrastructure programs, and then great quality of life projects that have been improved. I think if you look at that track record and combine it with my educational and professional resume, you're going to see that I'm the best candidate on the ballot for place forward.
Well, a year ago, I wasn't planning to run at all. I was quite happy with everything we went on the city. Then we had a whole bunch of challenges come through, and like everybody else, we were faced with recognizing our strengths and weaknesses in those moments. I realized that at that point, that things changed rapidly, that my years of experience managing change, working at C-level with these multi-billion-dollar companies, I know how to talk to these people, how to work with these people, and not get wall-eyed just at the name Amazon or anybody else that's coming to town. I can make sure that we stand up for ourselves as a city, and certainly we have choices we make.
My name's Houston Mitchell, and I have served this community for 20 years. I've been heavily involved with a school district or community. Just yesterday, I helped serve lunch to police officers. I think we need to coach our infrastructure up, manage multifamily, support our school district. I want to be a voice for the citizens. I deeply care about this community, and Mr. Lewis said he ran 3 years ago. Well, the guy that was on council then was experienced. He was. Well, guess what? I've been involved. I am experienced, and I can learn quickly. Thank you.
George Fassett, running for City Council Place 3. I want to serve. I want to give back. I have a resume. I've worked hard all my life. I've got an MBA. I'm a U.S. patent holder. I have a Lean Six Sigma black belt. I have an opportunity right now in my life, after selling my business, to serve and give back and to put the time into this. I'd like to be able to take my education, my resume, my experience, bring it forward. People have helped me in the past. I want to help folks. And I want to learn. So certainly our elected officials up here know a lot because they've been able to see underneath that hood a lot better than we do every day as we work. I want that opportunity to continue to grow and grow with this city, grow with the community, with my family, with all of them. So thank you.
Well, first I wanted to spell a rumor. There was a rumor going around that at one time I'm so old I was on Weider's staff. However, I have been around city government for a very long time. And I truly believe I have unique experience. I've been a department head in the city. I've done budgets in cities. I've been a council person helping to form policy and direct policy. My point is, I don't think, particularly right now in Mansfield, where we are in our journey, it's a good time for rookies. And what I mean by that is, as already pointed out, it takes a year and a half to know what's going on. I'm there, I've been there, I have no conflicts of interest. My only interest is to try to do whatever is best for the majority of the citizens of Mansfield and to help Mansfield be the very best Mansfield it can be. So I would like your vote in all this. Thank you.
Okay, well that concludes the program. We thank you all for your candor and your commitment to the city. Let's give them a hand. We would ask if you have a few minutes to stick around so maybe some people in our audience can further some of your answers. Nori, you want to close this out?
Yes. Okay, so when we have our Rotary meetings every week, we come up with our quarterly test, and so I'm just going to leave everybody in that. Other things we may say or do. Number one, is it the truth? Number two, is it fair to all concerned? Number three, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Number four, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you.